Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to Inspiration 98.7 Inspired Talk. I am your host, Shonda Orlesia, and I am so glad that you guys are joining us this evening. Is This evening is going to be an amazing show. We have, as I call them, the dynamic duo of trying to heal relationships between mothers and daughters. I read their story, I've seen some of their books, and what they're doing in this day and age is actually what we need, because there is a lot of mothers going against daughters. There are a lot of generational curses that is coming down on the family. And I think this is the time for us to talk about that, pull down some of these yokes and break up some of these generational curses. So I'm not going to have you guys on here too long. I'm not going to have you waiting any longer. I'm going to bring them up. Miss Jeri and Miss Jamia. Hi,
Hi.
ladies. How are you?
Hi. How are you?
I am wonderful. Okay, so ladies, if anyone is watching this live, Miss Jeri is up top, and Miss Jamia is at the bottom. They are the mother and daughter dynamic duo. How are you ladies doing this evening?
We're doing
Great.
great. How are you?
I am also. I've been excited. I've been waiting on this show since last month when I first booked y'all. So I've been I've been waiting on this show, so I'm so excited you guys are here. For those that don't know you, can you guys kind of like give a brief introduction of yourself?
Sure.
Sure.
So I'm Jerry, and my name is Jerry Godhigh, and I am the mother of Jamia Ponder. We're excited to be here today. We are on a mission that God has given us to break generational curses, to help heal mothers, daughters, men and women, sons, even, and fathers together, relationships. And so we are Jeri and Jamia Unfiltered, and what we're doing is truly sharing our story, coaching, and enabling others to live a full life. That's who we are, and that's what we do. Well, that's who I am. I'm the mother.
Right. And I'm Jamia, and she literally just gave our mission statement. So that's pretty much it. We set out on this journey a couple of months back, and just heeding God's voice, and it's been nothing but impactful for, I think, for me. Specifically along this journey. So nothing but grateful and have full expectations that this will be everything that God has set us out to do.
Yes.
Amen. Amen. So how did you guys come about the unfiltered? How did that come about? Healing the generational curses. How did that come about?
Well, so basically, I had God had spoke to me years ago about breaking generational curses, and I had deemed back, oh gosh, way back when, that I was not going to let this generational curse of teen pregnancy continue to, or having babies out of wedlock continue to be in our family. I was 18 years old when I had Jamia, and so I was destined to say, "That's it. It's enough." But things got in my way, and I did not fulfill that call at the time. And I truly believe that the time was for now and not back then. And so I'm excited to be able to now, thus we have moved through some things in our own lives. And so one day when we were chosen to write this book, together as an anthology for 8 authors together, God woke me up and said, this is a great opportunity because you and Jamia, or you and your daughter are now writing a book together. And let's use this platform to now move forward to have what I really have for you guys to do. And that is to minister, to talk to coach mothers and daughters alike all over the world. And so pitched it to Jamia. She was hesitant at first, but God spoke to her spirit. And so she said yes. I said yes. And it's been history. It's been going forward all the way. And so just excited to see, what God has for us to do to help mothers, daughters, women propel in their life.
Amen. 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 So on this journey that God has placed you on, I know you guys are life coaches as well. I mean, going down the line, I think Miss Jeri, you are a real estate agent, life coach, author. It's so much. The list goes on and on and on. How is it that you, and with so many hats, how are you able to like hear? Because a lot of people, this is one of the things I know that a lot of people have an issue with, is understanding and hearing the voice of God and giving you their direction. How has that, how is that journey so far, if I'm
Well,
explaining it?
you are, because I am an agency owner of an Allstate insurance company. I am a broker for our own real estate company, and now co-owner with for Jeri and Jamia Unfiltered, our life coaching company. And so we wear three hats, right? And it's not easy. And so I would encourage anyone or inspire anyone to don't miss your calling just because it seems hard or just because it seems like you can't fit it in. Listen to the voice of God. Sometimes we, get on that journey and maybe we didn't hear God correctly. Keep going. Maybe we heard him and we don't see the resources. Keep going. It is a juggle sometimes when you're juggling a family, when you're juggling life itself. And then thus now God has given you this mandate to start a business, for someone else. But we always believe, and Jamia will say the same thing, this life is not our own. It's always for someone else. And so everything that we go through, our story, our journey is a testimony for someone else's life. And so my theme from now on is what a tragedy it would be to have lived this life and never to complete what God had really created you to do. What a tragedy that would be. And so that's what we push people to do. Although yet it may be hard, you can do it because you're called and gifted to do it. So it is a journey. It is a juggle. It's a stretch. Sometimes having 3 and 4 hats on at a time. I'm not going to tell you any story there, but you can do it.
Amen. And how has it been for you, Miss Jamia? Especially with
Well,
a powerful, and how is it working with mom and God is dealing with you both together? How is that?
so it has been a journey. I kind of started this healing journey very much alone in the beginning, and so I started to share bits and pieces with my mom, and it kind of unlocked some areas that maybe she didn't realize were locked up or closed up. And so as I started to unfold and develop and grow and heal for some things, it really pushed and challenged me to want to share what I had been through and what I was going through with other people. And so the Mrs. Beside was born, and that was kind of not my first taste of juggling multiple things, because I always watched my mom, be in PTA and all of these things, be involved. And so I was very involved with my children, still am. So wearing multiple hats was not foreign to me, but it's a different level of commitment when you have, businesses and all of these things to balance. And so it is a very delicate, fine line, but you kind of strike the balance. And I think the biggest thing is communicating with your family about what the expectations
Yeah.
are, right? Because if my husband's thinking that I'm going to be cooking 5 days a week, 3 meals a day, he is out to lunch. It's not going to
Okay.
happen. So I think communicating, what you have presently and what your goals are, what you intend to do, I think helps to, it may not thwart everything, right? But it helps to keep some of those things down. So in juggling, talk through it. There will be hard days, but to my mom's point, like she said, keep going. And you'll have just enough glimmer of hope. I promise you, every time I thought, I just can't do this anymore, I would get a message or I would get an
Mm-hmm.
email or get a phone call. And, it's that small push, that gentle reminder that this is what you're supposed to be doing right now. And it's that fuel that you kind of need to keep going. So that's my spiel on multiple hat wearing.
Wow. Wow. So, okay, because I'm like so with the generational curses. I couldn't get the word out. Lord, y'all forgive me. with the generational curses. So that's what you guys like strictly deal with. Am I right? I want to make sure I'm correct with that.
Not strictly, but
Rosie.
it is one of the things that we are seeking to, you know, tear down brick by brick. So it is something that we specifically address, but it's not always, you know, specifying.
Right. And we also, we also focus in encouraging and motivating those to get to the next level in their life. So, if they're coming to us and they're at a place of stuck, right? They're stuck in where they are, to try to get them to where they're wanting to be. And so that's, as that life coach, we're there to now assess where they are and then take them to where
Mhm.
they need to go. A lot of times, especially with executives, leadership, women, we get to a place where we have everything that we think we need, but then we're still stuck somewhere inside of ourselves. There are some things that maybe we haven't looked at, we haven't dealt with, to then, break that glass ceiling so that you can live a full life. And so we deal with that as well.
So how do we start breaking up some of these yokes and some of these generational curses? Because I have quite a few friends that's dealing with like the mistreating of a parent. Also with knowing that they parent treated them the same way, so now they're bringing this same thing into their own relationship with their own child. How are some of the ways or some of the tools that we can kind of bring down those yokes and break that up so it won't continue to go along through the bloodline?
So I really think that the first step is acknowledgement, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
think that typically it comes with talking to somebody. Hey, tell me about, you know, some of the things. Usually we can rattle off pretty quickly the things that we did not enjoy about our childhood, right? Well, you know, some of the ways that we were treated and things like that. And so if you can start there, then you can acknowledge how, one, you've either adapted a trauma response to that, and then how that's affecting your family now and your life now, and then two, acknowledging the role that you kind of play in purporting that, right? So sometimes as adults, we say, "Oh, that happened to me in my past, and that's why I don't trust nobody." Okay, so how long are you going to carry it? Is the next question. How long are you going to allow it to impact your current and your future? Because
Yeah.
that's when you're talking about breaking beyond the glass ceiling. A lot of times we can't move forward because so much is dragging us down. So much is keeping us bound. And most of it is stuff that either we've carried on our own that's been placed on us, or that we've taken that never belonged to us in the beginning. And
Yeah.
so the first step is really acknowledgement of where you are currently and what are the things that happened in your past that are showing up today. And that's often the hardest part,
Yeah.
is acknowledging that that stuff actually existed, because we're really good filers, right? And we think, if I don't talk about it, if I don't acknowledge it, it doesn't exist, it didn't happen. What the reality is it did happen, it does exist, and it's impacting the way that you act today. Most relationships, the cornerstone of most relationships that we have in our lives, start with our mothers. And so then if we have a not so healthy one there, then we don't have good girlfriend relationships. It impacts the way that we treat our spouse. You know, if you saw your mother, you know, mistreat your father, or, you know, your father mistreat your mother, it impacts every relationship that you have going forward. So you really have to start at a place of acknowledgement. And that's really where the healing can begin.
Yeah. And then sometimes we hear people that says, well, I don't even really know what a generational curse is. I mean, where does that come from? And so really being able to then give them an assessment to say, okay, let's look at these factors here. Let's take a look back at a little bit of your generational history, your lineage, where you came from. Let's think a little bit about, what your mom did and maybe what she didn't get, or your dad, or, something to that nature, whereas for me, my mom was number 12. So she was a 12th kid. My grandmother had her at 45. So she wanted to love me, right? But she didn't have it to give because she didn't get it. And so because she didn't get it, she didn't know how to give it to me. Thus, I wanted to give it to Jamia because I loved her and I really, really wanted that warm and fuzzy, but I didn't have it to give. Like I wanted to, I really want to hug you, but I don't know, right? And so really now being able to look back, what is that thing that caused you or causes you to trip every single time? And then take that a bit, to pieces, like Mia said. Let's acknowledge it, let's look at it, let's dissect it, and then let's move through it. Then we give you some things that you can now look at. So here's ABC. This is what really happened. Now let's look at how does it affect you? And then what do you do when it does affect you? And then give you some good plans of how to now come against that very thing that you're doing that you say you wouldn't do. It comes through prayer. I mean, that comes first, and then some actionable steps come next. And so that's what we kind of help you do. And then also another thing is you got to be ready. Sometimes, I mean, we can tell you one thing and we can show you all day long, but if you're not ready, you're not going to do it. And so when that person is ready, then they're able to move forward. But we feel like, we also sow that seed, and when they're ready, it'll come forth.
Wow. Okay. Wow. See, I'm glad you gave that, that understanding, because a lot of people, like you said, don't understand what the generational curses are. And for me, and when I'm talking about anything, I always use myself as an example. I don't like using other people. I use myself. I'm a very transparent person. So like for me, some things happened to me when I was younger, and it's like a lot of people, like, my grandmother and everything, how that old saying is, what happens at the house stays at the house.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of those things, like I said, like you said, Miss Jamia, you take those things and you like sweep it up under the rug.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, okay, I don't see it, I don't hear it, don't want to deal with it. But then, like for me, I used to be so afraid of bringing people around my girls, my family, even my boys, because I did not want the same thing that happened to me happen to them.
Yeah.
And and I'm not gonna lie, I still kind of deal with it, even though my children are grown. I still kind of like within myself, and I don't know if that's like a sign of forgiveness. And you guys can let me know if that is, because I don't know if I forgave that person, but some of the things, like when I was younger, still rotates in the back of my mind. And like when, like, they said the idle mind is the devil's playground. How will I be able to release that so I can stop having those thoughts and, I guess, beating myself up and things like that?
I think you can speak to that a little bit. Go ahead.
I mean, I had something similar. I was working at a job and I was 14 and was molested by the manager, right? And I never told anybody, kind of swallowed it, but I vowed, much like you, that this would never happen to my kids and, blah, blah, blah. So very protective of them. But also thought that happened, a while ago, whatever. I'm not going to talk about it because it's embarrassing or whatever. If I acknowledge it, then it actually happened and it didn't. So we're good. But I think in order to let it go, again, I had to acknowledge it. But then part of it is taking the lesson and leaving the loss, right? So yes, it happened to you, but it doesn't define you. Yes, it happened to you, but now you can provide information, fact-based information, right? The truth to your children about how to best protect themselves, because you're not going to be with them 24/7. And so I wouldn't necessarily say that it's a sign of forgiveness as much as it is as a sign of, taking that information that you have and showing them how to protect themselves, being a safe haven for them, right? And being able to say, as your mother, you can talk to me about anything. If anything was to ever happen, X, Y, Z, you can talk to me. These are the lessons that you need. So the curse part of it that should be broken is the lack of communication.
Yeah.
The fact that it happened is not something that you can change. It's something that you personally would need to heal from. But to not transfer that fear to your children is how you stop it. And I know that you said that they're grown and there is some, relief in a sense is what I heard. Some relief that they are bigger and, maybe they would be able to defend themselves, but give them information on signs to look out for because they may be parents one day, right? And you don't want those lessons that you possess to die with you. That would be the gravest thing. And so that is what I would challenge and urge you to do. And then to seek some therapy on how to, like from a therapist, on how to personally get through that. I know taboo, it's been very taboo, like in the Black community, to go and see therapy, right? That very much that mindset, if it happened in this house, it stays in this house. You just need Jesus. You don't need to go to no therapist. No, I need to see somebody with some paperwork because these are real emotional wounds that I'm bearing, and they are impacting the way that I function today, even up through last year. When my husband would walk up behind me, it would startle me and I would get angry. I would be so mad and I couldn't figure out why. It wasn't until I started to unpack some of this stuff that I realized that this molestation was still impacting me to this day. And so, I think that in all that you've said, that yes, you have acknowledged it, and there may be some relief that your kids are bigger, but teach them the lessons and how to protect, themselves, and then in the future, how to protect their children in a healthy way, not a transference of fear, but a transference of knowledge.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
And that's one thing I do have with my kids, and a lot of people tell me that they kind of envious of the relationship that I have with all my children because I have that. I have that open door policy. The crazy part is I leave my bedroom. Well, before I got married, I say that part. Before I got married, I used to leave my bedroom door open to let them know that's symbolic to that I have an open door policy. If you ever want to come and tell me anything, talk to me about anything, you have that right. I'm not one to judge. And I tell my kids that too. I'm not one to judge. God is all of our judges. I'm just here to kind of help you process it and get through with it. So that's one thing that I do is have that communication with both my girls and my boys because I have 2 girls, 2 boys. So I have that communication with both of them. So that is good. I think it's pretty much just me. Like you said, I think I just need to seek um that help that you were just talking about because I kind of see myself, like I say, use myself again, transparent moment. I do rub some of those anger issues off to my husband, and he's the innocent part. So it's like sometimes I get to the point to where I don't want to be bothered. And then, me, I blame it on, oh, that's just the menopause, you know what I'm saying? But it's like me kind of closing myself off because of what did happen to me in the past.
Right.
How would I be able to do that with or have this conversation? Because I don't know how to have that conversation with my husband. How would I be able to have that conversation?
I've had to have that very conversation. And I'll be honest with you, the first one didn't go so great. But it happened through many conversations. We had to keep talking about it and keep talking about it, not only for me, but for him, so that he could understand. Because if you've never experienced that, it's very hard to put into terms what kind of impact that has on your life. And it's even harder if you don't talk about it. And all he knows is, dang, she upset again. What did I do this time? Kind of a thing, when in actuality, it had nothing to do with him at all. So I would suggest, maybe start to journal about it, journal about the impact that it had, and write down the things that you might want to tell your husband that would help him grant empathy and grace. Ask for patience. Hey, I'm struggling with this, and ask for accountability. If you see me, or if you feel like I was too harsh, or that I'm coming off kind of hard, or that I'm getting into one of those spaces, this is my code word. You can, say pineapples or whatever it is that might help you to kind of de-escalate. If it's, not what's the matter with you, if it's, is there anything I can do to help?
Right.
Anything to help you sort of process through that, because you're right. It's not his fault. It's not his fault at all, but You
Yeah.
know, just like you have to deal with things that he entered the relationship with, it's likewise, it's reciprocal. But as you start to heal through that and other things that may come up in therapy sessions, I will always encourage people to communicate those things. Don't try to handle them by yourself, because in those vulnerable moments, more healing happens. It's a trust exercise every single time. He's your husband and the person that you are to go through life with, not just the good stuff, not just buying house and buying cars and fixing meals and all the day-to-day stuff, but this is the real stuff that marriage is made of. And it was only until I opened up and really talked to my husband, literally I wept in his arms one night. And that's where the healing happened. It was in those vulnerable spaces that we don't like to get in.
Yeah, and I also want to encourage you to get to therapy too, because it's going to help you heal you, right? Because in order for anything to be whole, your kids, your husband, it starts with you. You have to be whole first. And so I hear and I see that, whoa, there may be a little bit of anger, right? Not anger, but just a little anger that somebody didn't save you. There may be a
Yeah.
little bit of, I still don't forgive that person. And it may be still, well, I don't forgive the people that never really saved me too. Like, how could they let this happen to me? I was a little, or I was this, or I was that. Why was no one there to protect me? And so the therapist will help you get rid of some of those things and help you get to the place of healing that you can only start with forgiving yourself. A lot of times we're so hard on ourselves that we can't do anything. And so we'll get some help with, yeah, with self, say, oh boy, you know what? I forgive me. I forgive me when I did that thing. I forgive me for not being there for my daughter. I forgive me. And then I forgive those other people that were a party to what was going on. Because, some of the things I tell my husband, you may not get that apology from someone. You may never get it, but you got to go and start with you. And so we encourage you to get on that journey for you, because it's all about you.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Now, before I let you ladies go, because it's Friday and I know everybody probably want to let their hair down and relax after a long week. I want to talk about you guys' book that you guys co-authored on. So can we touch a little bit on that? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we're excited. We just launched our book on May 29th, and it's an
Okay.
anthology of 8. So it's a book with 8 stories from 8 different authors in it. And we all tell our story. We tell our story on bits and pieces of our life and how we journeyed through some hard times, some trials, and how God has really brought us through. And we give some life practical encouragement pieces and steps on how to get through what you're going through to a whole and successful life. Take it from there, Mia.
I mean, that's essentially it. Yeah. I mean, they are lessons on life, love, and leadership, and we do share our stories. Most of it's just our breaking points, right? And then how we kind of got over. Now I'll say got over it, but chose us is what I will say. Because you get to a certain point where you've done the choosing and you've chosen everybody else. You have sacrificed for everybody else, and I always say, you figure it out for everybody else. It's time to figure it out for you.
Yeah.
Because you're important. I always tell them around here, I'm like, y'all not gonna kill me. You're not gonna kill me. I'm going to take care of me.
I
Because
tell I tell my kids that all the time too. Y'all ain't gonna kill me because all y'all grown. Y'all not gonna kill me.
it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
Right.
So yeah, but that's basically what the book is about. And so you can purchase it on our website at jeriandjamiaunfiltered.com. The link is there for you to purchase either book. Both books contain all of the same stories. It's just different authors on the cover. So if you buy my mom's book, you'll get both of our stories. It's 2-for-1 special. Today only, no, I'm just kidding. But they both contain the same stories in them. So you won't miss out on anything.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I truly, truly appreciate you both being on here with me. I'm checking to see if we have any questions because I put it up on Facebook. So I'm trying to see if we got any questions, if anybody left any questions or anything like that. Um, Let's see. I have a question from one young lady. Her name is Miss Tiara. She wants to know, is there many levels of um destroying generational curses?
Is there
Hmm.
many levels to it?
Is there levels to destroying generational curses?
I don't know if there's levels. Of course, there's always many curses that are out there that shows up in several ways. So, you may break a curse this way and then it comes back another way because the Bible says that the devil will flee, but he comes back, what, 7, 10 times worse. And so I don't know if there's many levels to do it because honestly, I feel like, it's only one God. So only one way to do it. But there's multiple channels that you can use to break it, if that's what she's talking about.
Okay.
Do you agree
So
with
Miss
that?
Tamara, if you hear her, that's what she said. She said there's different ways to do it. So
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I
did you
will
have
add to that
anything?
by saying I'll just add to say that I think sometimes people are under like the misconception like, phew, okay, you had a good day or you had a good healing session. That's it, right? You're done. I broke
Mhm.
that. That's it. But the reality is that it's a choice every day that you have to get up and make. And I often say that communication is the biggest generational curse that we carry that goes unrecognized, and a lack of communication. We don't know how to talk to each other. We all speak in English. Nobody can understand what the other person is saying. And so every day is a choice. You have to make a choice every single day, sometimes every single hour, sometimes
Mhm.
every 30 minutes,
Yeah.
sometimes every 5 minutes, until I don't say you ever really get it, but it becomes a lifestyle.
Yeah.
It is a way of behavior. It's adopting and adapting and growing and being okay with your growth and being okay with setting boundaries. Everything is a process and it doesn't happen overnight. So I would be remiss if I did not say that this is not a quick fix. Right. It's not a quick fix. There are things that I have dealt with in my past I still have to speak against every single day. Self-esteem issues. It's a curse,
Yeah.
right? Things that are put on you by other people. So every single day you have to get up and make a choice that I'm going to choose me. I'm going to choose what's best for me. I always tell my kids, not just food, but make the best choices for your life, period. Be okay with making the best friend choices, best food choices, best, educational choice, whatever they are, make good choices for you because nobody's going to do it for you. You leave it up to somebody else, they'll choose the wrong thing for you every time. So
Mm.
make sure that every day you're making those decisions to stick to your resolution, right? I am determined that X will no longer happen to me.
Correct. Or my bloodline. Hmm.
So we have a question. I don't know if you guys can see it. It says, "What do you think about the Great Reset?" You guys know what he's speaking about?
No, but I'll get up. The Great Reset. Is that a book?
Okay, so Mr. David Brass, we trying to understand what do you mean by the Great Reset? Can you kind of explain that to us before we let our guests leave for the night? So if you put it in the comments, let us know what you're speaking about. I don't know what the Great Reset is. I don't know what the Great Reset is.
As it relates to, yeah.
I don't know if he's talking about resetting yourself or resetting your mind, but
The
that's a
next
good
thing
question though.
the
Is there
first
a
thing that I see, the first thing that I
go
see
ahead?
about the Great Reset is about a World Economic Forum, but that wouldn't be relevant to what we're speaking about.
Right. Now I can add, let me ask a question this way because I'm glad he said something about reset. Is there a way that you can kind of reset yourself, or how can you like go and like reset your mind or just get in that space after like everything you going through? Is there like a somewhat like a processing channel or
Not necessarily. I think again, it's just waking up every day and deciding. It's not an overnight process, right? And I encourage journaling, writing things down, and then when you get to a point where um, you feel confident and confirmed enough to move forward, to start reciting some daily affirmations, speaking against whatever it is that you are dealing with, and it becomes some sort of second nature. And some days when it gets tough, you may have to pull your affirmation page back out and that kind of thing. But I think a lot of it does, to your point, start in the mind, the great reset of the mind. To empty those things out of your heart and determine and decide in your life that this is now the life that I want to pursue. I have looked into the law of attraction quite a bit, and it's all of it kind of lines up biblically, for the most part. But the thing that you think about, they are really things that you draw to yourself. If you think, oh, I'm so sick, I'm sick, I'm sick, or I'm tired, I'm tired, you repeat that long enough, and your body begins to respond.
Yeah.
So I know when my mom would take her medicine in the morning, she'd be like, I'm healthy and whole in Jesus' name. And it's like, I used to be like, Mom, why do you say it every day? But the longer you say it, the more that you say it, those are the things you start. I am healthy and whole. I am confident. I am brave. Sometimes you got to pump yourself up.
That's right.
Yeah.
All the time. All the time. Yeah.
So those
Encourage
are the great
yourself.
sets of the mind that I would encourage.
Yeah. And so I looked up what the great, and I see a bunch of it is really dealing with, Dave, I get you what you're saying, is dealing with how to rebuild a better world post COVID-19. And really, how do we kind of get ourselves back on track from the pandemic? And that's a great question, because honestly, none of us have dealt with COVID-19 and the impacts it has had now on this world. But I think it gives us a great chance to reset our lives, reset our minds, and start to think about what's really important in life, because life is too short. And so what I think about the Great Reset, I think it's great. Take this opportunity now. I mean, we've had so many things that we've never had before to build back the community, to help small businesses, to help women, to help people get back on the right track. And I know a lot of us have dealt with COVID. We've had COVID. A lot of people that we know have died from COVID. And so to me, it's now given us a chance to really appreciate life, the Great Reset, get our lives back together, but then take it and move it on even further. So no longer going back to, everybody wanted to get back to the normal, get back to the way it used to be. It'll never be the way it used to be. Move forward in what it is, and then go even higher. So thank you, Dave. I love that. The Great Reset. I didn't look into that, but I have been looking at it as Mia was talking about things, but now I'm seeing the Great Reset. That's wonderful. It's time to reset and move forward.
And the thing is, I used to tell people that I'm kind of glad that COVID hit, because COVID somehow, even though people was dying, it gave families a chance to reconnect. It gave you that downtime, because a lot of people, I can't say people, a lot of people, well, a lot of people like me, have been moving and not stopping and trying to hear what God is trying to say. Right. So I do believe that was one of the reasons why COVID hit, because God is trying to speak and let us, slow down and listen to what I'm trying to say to you or convey to you. So yeah, I like that too. The Great Reset. How do we? That's cool. I like that, Dave. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm going to use that. Thank you, Dave.
Right. So you ladies, I truly appreciate you guys coming on this evening and having this great inspiration talk with us. For those that want to get the book, one more time, and if they want to connect with you, can you guys give us that information?
Yep. So they can get the book at Jeri and Jamia Unfiltered.com. And it should be a link on there to purchase the book. And they can follow us at Jeri_Jamia_Unfiltered on Instagram. And then likewise on Facebook. Or they can reach out to our media team, which is EPI Media. And they'd be happy to place you in touch with us as well.
For any speaking engagements, conferences,
coaching.
Yes.
We're
All right.
available.
Well, thank you, ladies, so
Thank
much. You guys
you.
are
Thank you.
so encouraging. I truly thank you guys because you both have encouraged me today and gave me some direction on what I should do to heal myself within. So I truly appreciate you ladies coming on today and doing that. Do you guys have any what I do on all my shows? That's all my shows. If you guys can leave like an inspiration quote or message to the listeners as well as the viewers, can you leave us that quote? Both of y'all can go, one of y'all can go. It's fine.
So I always say, I know it's a lot, but you're worth it.
Yes, and you are worth it. And I say, don't let this be a tragedy. It would be a tragedy if you left this earth and not have completed the very thing that you were birthed to do. Stay on the path and stay on your journey.
Wow. Thank you, ladies, so much for that. You guys, I'm going to take you backstage while I end the show, and I'll be right back with you, okay?
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
You guys, wasn't that an amazing show? I mean, I've truly been inspired. And look, I got somewhat of a healing just by talking to the both of them. They are truly amazing. Thank you guys for tuning in to Inspire Talk by with me, Shonda or Alicia. Catch us next week. We have, if you catch us on Wednesday on the Chill Zone, we have Miss Michelle Davis who is coming with her new entrepreneur. And then we also have that Friday on Inspire, Miss Tamara Charles. You know Miss Tamara Charles, she's our advocate for domestic violence. So you guys make sure you stay tuned for all of our shows that's coming up this month on Inspiration 98.7. You guys have a great night. See ya.